Instead, I'll just shout my coaching opinions over the internet instead. But stay in school, kids. So that and more coming up as myself and Angelina are here to answer some of your questions. The hot topics, right. How are you doing, Angelina?
I'm good, how are you?
I'm excellent. Let's get straight into the Q&A. First off, Jake Reynolds is saying, although I know it will probably never happen, I saw a rumour that Ronaldo may move to Chelsea in a swap deal for Jorginho and Alonso. It will never happen. Well, he seems to be shooting down his own theory. But what are your thoughts if it did happen and the impact it would have on the Premier League next season?
If it did happen, it would have a massive impact. Of course it would, a player, such a massive player like Ronaldo returning to the Premier League. I think the fact that he would be going to London instead of Manchester, that as well would cause a lot of drama. I think United-Chelsea games would have a lot more hype. I think, a player like him and a name like that and what he represents and everything would be great for the Premier League. Shirt sales would be fantastic. I think for Chelsea it would be great to have somebody of his calibre in the team, especially because it is such a young squad. I think the experience that he would be able, the experience that he has, that he would kind of be able to pass on, his little pearls of wisdom, I think would be beneficial. It'd be beneficial for any club, really.
I think, though, it will be beneficial, but they've just signed Timo Werner. This is the latest breaking news.
Yes.
Happening today, in fact, because we're filming the Q&A a day before. But they're not really going to sign him, are they?
Nah.
Honestly, who was it, Jake? There was a rumour about it. I don't think it's going to happen. No amount of money, not two swap players. Now with Timo Werner and Tammy Abraham. Yeah, I think we can knock that one on the head.
A nice thought, but...
Yeah. Right, next up.
Okay, so this is from Mandamore.101. So, breaking so many records, do you think that Lewandowski should retire in the Bundesliga or go to another league?
Oh, I feel like I spoke about this on TFW. Someone said, what about Jurgen Klopp to prove himself? Should move to another league. Same thing with Lewandowski. He doesn't need to I'm not saying to prove himself. Should he retire or go to another league? There's no... If you're suggesting he needs to go somewhere else to break records, no, he doesn't. If a player's happy at a club like Bayern Munich, where he's challenging for the Champions League, winning Bundesliga titles, obviously earning a lot of money, which they do at most clubs, why would he need to move? Why? I just kind of think there is no he should retire in this league or retire in this league. Whatever happens in his career is kind of up to him, and I don't feel like there needs to be some sort of road trip that people do. You don't need to retire at the top. You also don't need to retire with one big payday, in the Middle East or the MLS. I'd love to see him stay at Bayern because I feel like that's where he's the most comfortable when we see the best version of Lewandowski, and that's kind of cool to see such a great goal scorer. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I wouldn't necessarily would. Right, Scarred Hunter said, is your prediction for the Premier League shop for this weekend?
Ooh. It's a bit of a tough one because normally when you see the lower teams like your Aston Villa or your Watford, you kind of think maybe they've got more to prove, so maybe they're going to come out really looking for it. But at the same time, a lot of the teams that they're playing are kind of in that part of the table where it's very, very tight. So you can't necessarily say that. I'm just going to live in a fantasy world and go with Everton-Liverpool. I think people think that stranger things have happened.
Yeah.
We've talked about derbies on Q&As before. For a shocker, do I think maybe the result, I think I'd be I'm sure Liverpool will win, but I don't think it's going to be as easy as people make out.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So yeah, that's maybe what I would go for. Listen, don't get me wrong, it'd be great if Everton won. I would not be complaining. But yeah, I just feel like everybody's thinking Liverpool are kind of going to go into this and it's going to be like a 6-0 victory and it's just going to be amazing. Don't always rule Everton out. Every now and then they come up with something. And yeah, I'm reaching, and yes, I'm being ridiculously positive towards Everton, but I don't care.
Honestly, I've watched this derby before. It's shocking. I know everyone's going to hate it. Liverpool-Everton is not a good derby at the moment because the disparity between the two is ridiculous. Liverpool are so much better than Everton. It's not even a contest. If they manage to win it, I'll be amazed. In fact, when was the last time Everton even won a derby? My word.
It could be this weekend. Who knows?
It could be. The disparity is massive. For a shock, I'm going to go for Brighton to beat Arsenal. After seeing their performance against Man City, I think Brighton might win that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so next question. This is from Emma. So, João Felix, Griezmann and Hazard. Who was the better signing this season?
Wow, 3 who are getting a bit of slack for flopping. Well, I think it's difficult to put. I think more was expected of Griezmann.
Yeah.
Your top goal scorer at Atletico Madrid, one of Barcelona's rivals for 5 years in a row, suddenly you make the switch and you're not doing as good. I'd expect the most from him.
Yeah.
But who's had the best season, is the question?
Yeah. Or who was the better signing this season?
Well, the better signing is João Felix, just because he has so many years ahead of him to get better. So, yeah, I mean, Griezmann and Hazard, they haven't got a good time to turn it around and prove they were worth the money. Whereas, João Felix has plenty of years. And a good brace he scored against Osasuna as well.
I agree.
Right, Ituna Isak has said, do you think the lack of depth will affect the likes of Sheffield United and Wolves and their push for the Champions League or Europa League football next season? Love from Namibia. Bam! That's the first Namibian question I think we've had.
Okay, so I think with Wolves, they have kind of managed to break this weird curse that if you're a team that's suddenly in this position, you are going to struggle. I mean, you look at Burnley, I mean, they finished, 7th and were in the Europa League. That season, they then finished 15th.
Oh, yeah, I remember, yeah.
That fall from grace, it wasn't nice to see, and it just proved that, sometimes clubs are not prepared for the amount of games that you're going to have to play. If injuries crop up, is your team solid enough to take part in another competition? The amount of pressure that is on you to do well. So I think for Wolves, I think they've kind of managed to master that in that they've been consistent in their position in the Premier League. Maybe not have the most amazing runs in the Europa League, but they've managed to keep the ball kind of rolling. I think Sheffield United, if depending where they finish, I think it's all about how they prepare for the next season. I think regarding signings, looking at your squad and what you need, the mental and physical strain that it will take to be playing in another competition. I think it's all about how they prepare, but I think that the lack of depth does affect teams.
But will it affect them for this season then, for the push for the Champions League, Europa League this season?
I mean, the pressure could get to people. I mean, Sheffield United have done so well. I think a lot of people have kind of been waiting for their luck to run out, I guess, in a way, and it's not really happened. And they have been playing great. I think it could affect them. I think it all depends on what happens in the games that are coming up. And I think, as we saw with the City and Arsenal game, players getting injured and certain players that you're expecting. Well, I'm not saying that people were playing bad, but with certain players, you could see the effects of not playing for 100 days.
I think they'll be fine. I think that was just unfortunate. I don't know. I just think that if that's true, and we see the effects of not playing for 100 days, this weekend there will be a hell of amount of injuries per team. And then I don't think that's going to happen. I mean, City were absolutely fine, and they haven't played for the same amount as Arsenal.
True.
Anyway, who knows?
Okay, so next question. Destroyer of the Realms. What do you think about Alaba to PSG? I think this is going to affect Bayern negatively for a player who is somehow still 28 and has been with the club for 10 years. And if they sell Boateng and Alaba at the same window, the same problem of last year will occur, no depth in defence.
No, I actually disagree with that one. I think Bayern will be fine if they sell Alaba. I think the left-back position, it is clear that it's Alphonso Davies's for the next however many years. And behind him, they've also got, I always get this wrong, it's Lucas Hernandez. Theo Hernandez is the one at AC Milan, the brothers. Lucas Hernandez. And then Lucas Hernandez has also been playing well at centre-back. Nicolas Sula is going to come back from injury. Benjamin Pavard could fill in there. They do still have Boateng. I think the thing with Alaba is that he's not the number one left-back or the number one centre-back at Bayern Munich anymore. And if he leaves, it will affect the club in terms of having a long-serving player in the dressing room and, what it means to be at Bayern. But I think they're definitely moving forward. And they're looking at Dayot Upamecano as well and a few other centre-backs. Bayern have got a brilliant team. When everyone's fit, they've got versatile players. They've got real quality, and I think Alaba's a quality player to lose, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I just don't think it will be devastating to Bayern Munich.
Yeah.
I think we'll be all right. Right, AZ next up said, do you think a club like Leicester City, displaced as one of the top 6 in the Premier League and can attract world-class players to challenge for the title and even the Champions League regularly? Also, what's been your favourite music album of 2020?
Okay, so favourite album. Probably the late great Cadet, the Rated Legend I would go for. But football question. I mean, what even this whole there was a top 4 and now there's a top 6, and it's what is that anymore?
It's just historically
change. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, Leicester don't have, like you say, that historic kind of standing in the Premier League. They're not, an Arsenal or a Liverpool or a United or whatever.
The rest of the top 6.
Yeah. So I think attracting world-class players, I think sometimes it's going to be a little bit more difficult if you don't necessarily have they have won the Premier League, to be fair, but to say look at all these years of amazing seasons that we've had and we've always consistently finished in this position. It's not been consistent. I like the way that things are going this season. I think no one really has an issue with Leicester. I mean, I think everyone, when they won that league, I don't know anybody that was kind of hating on it. It was just such an amazing moment. And I think it's great to see a club like them do well. The main thing is that they need to just keep hold of the players, and maybe they've been robbed of so many over the years. And I think if they can keep, at the end of the day, they finished 3rd. There's been rumours of certain players leaving, and you kind of look at it and think, well, why would you leave for maybe an Arsenal?
Well, you never know. If the Premier League comes back, they could have a shocker and maybe drop out the Champions League places. Chances are it won't happen, but...
Yeah. So I think, could they displace one of the clubs? I think if they manage to get some consistency.
Yeah, absolutely.
If they manage to keep hold of the good players that they've got and make some decent signings.
There's no way that being a flash in the pan, just one finish in this one title or one top 6 finish every 3 years is going to be enough.
Exactly.
It has to be consistent.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay, so next one is from LG and Cow 456. Lovely name. What do you think the future holds for David Luiz with his ban expiring after his contract expires?
So he hasn't, as of filming, signed a little contract extension to take him through to the end of the season, which is why the ban expires afterwards. Honestly, I think this is the worst time for something like this to happen, this kind of performance. It's on everyone's mind. You're in the shop window because you're looking for a new club, and the last thing that they're going to see, the last game that a new club is going to see is that Manchester City game.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be difficult. I think his career will speak for himself when he goes into contract negotiations. And I think there are a lot of clubs in Europe that would definitely take him, maybe at Arsenal's level, Europa League level. He's not going to go back to sort of PSG size club. Yeah, he's done at the top, but I don't think that's just after the Man City game. I just don't think he's been a great defender for the last few years or so.
True. I mean, Jamie Carragher said we might not see him in the Premier League again.
I can believe that. I can believe that for sure. Who knows?
No.
Maybe back to Brazil, maybe back to Benfica. Something like that. Tony Timetable, great name. Love it when he gives a question. In your opinion, which of the following clubs suits Thiago Silva the most when his contract expires? Arsenal, Wolves, or Spurs? I think it's a straightforward answer considering we've just discussed David Luiz.
Yeah, I think I can't really see Wolves happening. I mean, don't get me wrong, Silva's a big player, played at some amazing clubs. I know there's rumours that he's willing to kind of take a pay cut. I think was it something like 300k a week at PSG or something like that?
Something stupid, yeah.
And you've got, some of their biggest players, like Patricio on like 100 a week. So
it's big.
It's like, are they gonna financially? It's a big risk, isn't it? Because at the end of the day, it's not like he's 30. So I don't really see Wolves happening. Spurs, I guess maybe with Vertonghen maybe leaving there's a gap for an experienced defender.
Yeah, we're not going to bust the wage bank to bring in the 35-year-old. I couldn't imagine so.
Exactly.
But with Arsenal...
Oh, God, I mean, they're desperate for defenders. I mean, they've currently got like 7 centre-backs at the club, depending who's on loan or who's not. Like, they need to have a clear out. And I think getting somebody like him in, getting rid of maybe Luiz, Mustafi maybe, I think getting what he could bring for them on the field and off the field when they're in this current like rebuilding process, I can see him more likely there. I just think he'd fit well. Like I say, what he would bring to the club would be great, especially, with, I'm trying to think like defenders that they've got, like younger ones, if he ends up staying like Tierney and stuff like that. So yeah, I think I wouldn't be mad at that, and if they can come to an arrangement with the money as well, then it would be a much needed defender for Arsenal.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so next question from Noah Sayis. What's your prediction for the 2020 Champions League final? Who do you think will make the final? My prediction is Atletico Madrid versus Bayern. What's yours, Matt?
We get this question a lot. Bayern Munich. There's no way you could know. Look, every single person, everyone who commented on our YouTube channel, I'd say about 99% of them said Liverpool would beat Atletico, and they didn't. So it's impossible to predict. I don't think that just because Atletico did that, it then suddenly makes them favourites to make the final. But based off the performances this season in the Champions League, based off how good a form Bayern are in, I think Bayern will win it. Who they're going to be up against depends on the draw.
Yeah.
You don't know. The next game could be Bayern-Barcelona. And where I think that they'd be, Bayern, Barca and Man City. Whereas I think those three would be worthy of being in the final. They might get drawn against each other in the quarters. Which just completely ruins it. Who knows? It might be Bayern-Atalanta. I think Bayern against whoever, gets the best run of it. City or whoever wins out of the City-Madrid game, and Barcelona, assuming they sort of turn it around against Napoli. I think I can Bayern. Next up, right, Onefootball. Moving on to some random questions here. Saying, what did you do for your GCSEs? My word.
Oh my God, we're going back.
I don't even remember. The usual shit.
I mean, in England you do English, science and maths anyway, don't you? I think I did French, Spanish.
Oh, wow.
I remember doing art. And I remember doing history. I'm sure I was in a history class. Or was it geography? No, history. I'm going with. I've got no idea, to be honest.
I think I did drama. Just because it was like the least academic work. Drama, history, or was it business, or was it the regular? I don't know. This is how much attention I was paying during GCSEs.
We got them anyway.
We got them, but stay in school, kids. They're not everything, but they are slightly important for your age.
Yes. Okay, so last question is from Mate Stoisu. Sorry if I got that wrong. So, Matt, how did you get your coaching badges? Also, have you ever played pro football?
No. I'm sure you would have heard if I played some pro football. I would have been banging on about it every week on the channel. No, I didn't play pro football. I still do enjoy playing it. How did I get my coaching badges? I was part of a sports college in England, which had good connections to Arsenal. So I actually did...
that was painful.
I went to the training ground every single week, every Friday to do coaching. And I met Andrei Arshavin. That was really weird. Who was super, super small. Super small and didn't speak any English. It was kind of bizarre. I was like 16. I did my FA coaching badges, level 1 and level 2 with Arsenal. And then did my UEFA B licence with the Welsh FA, which was amazing, which was a real eye-opener. It was slightly different to the English FA. A lot of great people recently have done the same course, the Welsh UEFA license. So I think Thierry Henry was in there doing it, Mikel Arteta, I think Patrick Vieira, Roberto Martinez, quite a few others. And yeah, that was amazing. That was a super good experience. So yeah, I got a UEFA B license. I don't have any plans to continue with any of it at the moment, but who knows? Instead, I'll just shout my coaching opinions over the internet instead.
Why not?
That's the better idea. Anyways, thank you so much for all of your questions as always. Every Wednesday night in the community tab is where you can find them. And if you're asking where you can find the questions, you obviously haven't made it this far in the video before. Because we let you know every time. So yeah, Wednesday night in the community tab is where you'll find the post for the Q&A. But until next time, from myself and Angelina, we will see you guys next time.